Oh, that was so amazing.
Okay, he's gonna fluke. They both are. Slow-mo.
Grand Manan is a special place. Those of us who spent time at whale camp recall the many puffins and whales and lighthouses and smiling faces of our friends we've seen every time we've gone back year after year. This year we're asking you to come back or join us for the first time as we explore Grand Manan, and then head north on the very first of our whale camp expeditions. We'll leave Grand Manan and the island behind and head up to northern New Brunswick, where we'll visit one of two Canadian national parks, this one renowned for its beaches, dunes, bogs, and of course one of the largest common tern colonies in the world. And then, from there, head up to the Gaspe Peninsula, a gorgeous and renowned place in eastern Quebec, known for its pristine and striking geology, small towns, and of course the amazing blue whales that frequent this area, as well as many seals, humpbacks, fins, and one of the largest gannet colonies in the world. And from there, we'll head on, hike in some Arctic tundra in the north of the Gaspe Peninsula. Then we'll work our way back to the south and climb the highest mountain in New Brunswick. Join us as we introduce Whale Camp Expeditions. 2011 Whale Camp Expeditions will begin on June 25th and last through July 16th. During this time, we'll start out on Grand Manan and then head up to see some absolutely amazing things in northern New Brunswick and on into Quebec. In addition to all the amazing things we'll see on Grand Manan, once we leave, we have a chance of seeing many whales and seabirds not visible from lower New Brunswick. We'll have a chance to visit the largest northern gannet colony in the world, also go hiking where the Appalachians rise from the sea, kayaking near Fort-Léon National Park, canoeing in a common tern colony, and exploring many different ecosystems including tundra, boreal forests, and bogs, and end with the summit of the highest peak of New Brunswick. We'll begin our adventure in Bangor, Maine, then travel north and east as a group across the Canadian border, and then onto a ferry to Grand Manan Island. Once on Grand Manan, we'll get settled for our week on Grand Manan before adventuring out further north a week later. For our first week of our trip, we'll get to experience whale camp from Grand Manan. For those of you who've been before, this will be a familiar welcome home. And for those who haven't, you'll get your first opportunity to experience Grand Manan. We'll live at the whale camp facility on the south end of the island. We'll go out whale watching twice, once with Peter and Derlin on the day's catch, and once on the Elsie Minota from the north end of the island. We'll have a chance to see puffins, go kayaking, explore bogs and fisheries, and all the amazing things that Grand Manan has to offer. And since we're lucky enough to be on Grand Manan July 1st, we'll also get to experience Canada Day, an event not easily forgotten. On July 2nd, we'll leave Grand Manan behind and head north for about 3 hours up to Cuchie, a national park up in northern New Brunswick. Once we get to the park, we'll set up camp and explore the visitor center before we make dinner and call it an evening. On the 3rd, we'll explore the park, first by canoe as we go through harbor seals and an amazing tern colony. Then we'll walk along the beaches and finally explore the bogs and forests found deep within the park. On the 4th of July, we'll head north and east to the Gaspe Peninsula of Quebec. We'll practice up our French as we explore a town called Percé and prep ourselves for our trip to the gannet colony the following day. On the 5th of July, we'll leave our campground just outside the town of Percé, walk into town, and get on a small tour boat that'll take us near the rock of Percé, a breathtaking landscape to say the least, before venturing out to Bonaventure Island, the home of the gannet colony we plan to visit. The tour boat will drop us off at a provincial historic park on the west side of the island. From there, it's about a 2-mile hike to the gannet colony on the east, and we'll have a chance to be near about 15,000 of these stunning and quirky birds as they raise their eggs, nurse their chicks, and take off and go plunge feeding in the ocean beyond. After our time in Percé and on Bonaventure Island, we'll take a short drive north to Fort-Léon National Park and we'll spend the next few days in this area looking for blue whales as well as exploring the park. Since it's such a short drive from Percé to Forillon, we plan to go kayaking as well this evening and hope to see harbor seals as well as maybe even some whales as we explore some of the areas around the park. The next day in Forillon, we plan to hike up to an observation tower and view where the Appalachians rise up out of the sea before going on one of our 2 whale watching trips planned for this area. We hope to see many humpbacks, fins, minkies, and maybe even the blue whales that we very rarely see on Grand Manan. We'll spend our second full day in Forillon venturing through the park on foot, investigating the boreal forests as well as seashore environments before seeing the tallest lighthouse in Canada just to the north of the park. On the 9th, we'll go on our second whale watch in Forillon and hopefully get a chance to explore some of the visitor centers, shoreline walks, and other places we haven't yet seen in the area. On the 10th of July, we'll leave Forillon and travel along the north edge of the Gaspe Peninsula to the Gaspésie Provincial Park, where we hope to go see a waterfall that evening before setting up camp. We plan to spend the next 2 days exploring Gaspésie, including the Arctic tundra ecosystem that's not found further south of here, hopefully see some caribou, and on our second day possibly summit Mount Albert, the highest peak in the Appalachian Mountains. On the 13th, we'll begin our trip back towards the States, leave Quebec behind, and head to Mount Carleton Provincial Park in the heart of New Brunswick. We'll break up the drive by stopping off and seeing some fish fossils before we get to the park in the evening. On the 14th, we'll discover Mount Carleton Provincial Park, hopefully see some moose, and if lucky, summit Mount Carleton, the highest peak in New Brunswick, before we head home the next day. On the 15th, we'll head back to Bangor, Maine in the United States. We'll stay in a hotel that night and experience some concluding activities before our parents pick us up and take folks home the following day. I hope you like what you've heard about Whale Camp Expeditions Gaspe. My name is Mike and I'll be the lead instructor this season. I want to let you know a little bit about myself. I'm a middle school science teacher out west and I've been leading trips in the west and the east for years now. I've actually been fortunate enough to come back to Whale Camp for 10 different seasons and been up to many of the areas we've talked about for sure. This is a picture of me in Grossmorn National Park, Newfoundland last summer. I've also been fortunate enough to go to Iceland as well as other places in the northern Atlantic. Hopefully you'll decide to join us and can't wait to get us started. I think we'll have a great time. We hope you've enjoyed this introduction to Whale Camp Expeditions Gaspe, Quebec 2011. If you're interested in joining us, we'd love to have you and we're excited for this year's season to begin. So please contact us, sign up now.